Chapter 536, Outrage. The breach which allowed two demonic beasts to enter simultaneously was currently their biggest source of trouble. While they were busy fighting with the demonic beasts, quite a lot of demonic beasts had swarmed through the breach. Fortunately, not too many demonic beasts had gathered in the zone number 14. Otherwise, thousands of demonic beasts could have rushed into the formation in the blink of an eye. While Jian Wushuang was in deep thought, suddenly, "Oh, damn!" someone suddenly shouted in a panic, causing the human sergeants to immediately turn and look at the breach. They could see through the formation that a stream of countless demonic beasts had arrived and dozens of demonic beasts had broken into the battlefield through the breach in a second. Those demonic beasts were extremely powerful. Even the weakest ones were rank 7 monsters. There were even more than a dozen rank 8 monsters. They're demonic beast reinforcements. Oh, no. This is going to be big trouble. The sergeants of the human camp became astonished at this scene. Once the demonic beasts broke through into the battlefield, the human sergeants near the breach immediately began to suffer. .bg container 63275cc1f display, flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647, important no. We'll die. The miserable shouts from human sergeants in the two squads guarding near the breach were heard. Both squads belonged to the 7th Army. One squad was led by Jin Ling and the other one was the 3rd squad which was supposed to take over guarding Sky Solitude Mountains from Jian Wushuang's squad. The two squads had planned to block the breach. Nevertheless, as the powerful demonic beasts began swarming into the formation, it was all they could do to save their own lives now. Dozens of sergeants had been killed by the demonic beasts that had charged through. But, even the remaining sergeants were still in danger. Go to save them. Fang Han roared. The other sergeants also understood why Fang Han was so anxious. The two squads were in the middle of a terrible situation. Once the powerful demonic beasts entered the battlefield, they started to attack the two squads. Countless demonic beasts followed them and had completely encircled the two squads. Without any reinforcements, the two squads would be killed in only a few breaths. 10th Squad, follow me. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and the sergeants behind him followed, charging towards the demonic beasts without hesitation. Jian Wushuang had a personal grudge against Jin Ling. However, in the face of this crisis, all human sergeants chose to fight against the demonic beasts together. Jian Wushuang would naturally ignore his personal grudge for the moment. Not to mention, Jin Ling was not the only one in danger. Jian Wushuang held the triple kill sword in his hand, instantly releasing the sword essence and causing it to permeate the area. It was a silent sword move. A silent sword shadow flashed with a dazzling light and a realm which seemed like it could exterminate everything. The sword shadow glided through the area, leaving behind a sword river in its wake. It was the 4th move of the heart-killing sword technique, Sheer Shadow. The violent sword shadow directly hacked towards the 3 rank 8 monsters that were out in front. They also counterattacked. Bang! The 3 demonic beasts were knocked back by the violent clash, while Jian Wushuang also retreated several steps. The sergeants behind Jian Wushuang also pounced on the other demonic beasts. With the support of Jian Wushuang and his squad, the 3rd squad, which had fallen into despair, found an opportunity and struggled out from the encirclement of the demonic beasts. However, Jin Ling and his squad were still in the middle of a crisis. "Brother Wushuang, let's cooperate and save them," the leader of the 3rd squad said. "Okay." Jian Wushuang nodded. The two squads, with Jian Wushuang acting as the spearhead, attacked the demonic beasts violently and finally tore out a path to life for Jin Ling and his sergeants. "Rush out!" Jin Ling growled and immediately seized the opportunity to break free from the encirclement. "Jin Ling, cooperate with us, quickly. Let's stop these demonic beasts." Seeing Jin Ling leaving, the leader of the 3rd squad shouted to him, "Cooperate." Jin Ling's eyes were full of resentment. He glanced at Jian Wushuang behind him and looked at the swarming demonic beasts like wasps in front of him. His face became even more gloomy. "Run! Run! Run! Fast!" Jin Ling growled in a shrill voice and then fled directly to the rear without hesitation. His sergeants obeyed his command unconsciously and also fled frantically to the rear. All of the human sergeants were angry after seeing this. The sergeants of the 3rd and 10th squads were especially outraged. Jin Ling, what are you doing? Fang Han also yelled. Everyone was outraged by Jin Ling's action. When he had been in crisis, Jian Wushuang had immediately led his squad to save him and cooperated with the 3rd squad to cut a path from the demonic beast group so that he could escape. To rescue him, the 2 squads chose to fight with the numerous demonic beasts. Jin Ling should have cooperated with the other 2 squads so that the 3 squads could have a better opportunity to survive. On the contrary, Jin Ling chose to flee while ignoring the sergeants who had rescued him. How could he ignore those who had fallen into a dangerous situation in order to save his life? Selfish. Shameless. Ungrateful. Bastard, the leader of the 3rd squad shouted angrily. This bastard. Son of B-. The sergeants of the 10th and 3rd squad also could not help swearing. However, Jin Ling didn't pay any attention to them. He was scared to death because he had almost died in the encirclement of the demonic beasts. At this moment, he only wanted to run for his life. He did not give a damn about anything else. What's more, Jian Wushuang was also in danger now. Jian Wushuang, aren't you impressive? I can't wait to see whether you'll live or die. Jin Ling even took a kind of dark pleasure in it. Chapter 537, Outburst. Obviously, no one had expected Jin Ling's action. Even the sergeants in his squad, who had unconsciously obeyed his command to flee, realized what they were doing a moment later. Leader, how can we do this? They rescued us. How can we run away and abandon them? Leader. The sergeants stopped one by one. Some even turned back and ran towards Jian Wushuang and other sergeants, ready to fight against the demonic beasts with them. Run, run. Jin Ling ignored them and still fled desperately. This bastard. Qing Hua swore. The sergeants of the 10th and 3rd squad were also surprised and angry. Brother Wushuang, what should we do now? The leader of the 3rd squad looked toward Jian Wushuang. Try to survive, Jian Wushuang answered calmly. Howl. 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 BG container 632750A1F display. Flex direction. Column align items. Center justify content. Center Z index. 214-748-3647. Important numerous demonic beasts, led by Mo Wu, who was covered with dark purple scales, roared and rushed toward Jian Wushuang and the other sergeants. Most of the demonic beasts had just swarmed into the battlefield. In an instant, thousands of demonic beasts had managed to pass through the breach. Most importantly, these demonic beasts were extremely strong, including dozens of rank 8 monsters and hundreds of rank 7 monsters. This terrifying swarm of demonic beasts rushed toward Jian Wushuang and the other sergeants. Go rescue them, Fang Han called out in a shrill voice. He was the first one to rush toward Jian Wushuang. The whole 7th Army, as well as many sergeants of the 6th Army, also ran towards Jian Wushuang. Everyone wanted to rescue them, except Jin Ling, who was eager to run away. Jian Wushuang, die in peace, Jin Ling whispered with a gloomy look. He turned back to look at the battlefield as he fled. A swarm of demonic beasts had already flooded the area where Jian Wushuang and the others were. Right then. Buzz. A terrible sword essence, which was strong enough to shake the entire area, suddenly burst forth. In the center of the demonic beast's encirclement, a golden figure began to grow at an alarming rate. A golden spectral image rose from behind Jian Wushuang and instantly grew to a full height of 60 meters. Sword Soul Phantom. The strongest Sword Soul Phantom. It was the first time that Jian Wushuang had used the Sword Soul Phantom since he arrived on the monster continent. The 60-meter-tall Sword Soul Phantom, which released a supreme sword essence, stood in the sky like a noble sword master. What's that? The sergeants, as well as the demonic beasts, raised their heads and watched the golden Sword Soul Phantom in confusion. Jian Wushuang, who stood under the Sword Soul Phantom, released his sword soul power. Get the hell out of my way. With a wave of his hand, Jian Wushuang swung the triple kill sword while releasing a vast and mighty power. The golden sword Soul Phantom also swung the long sword at the same time. A huge bright sword light suddenly appeared and swept the surrounding area. Whoosh! The overwhelming sword light swept away the demonic beasts which were fiercely killing in the area around Jian Wushuang. Although these demonic beasts used powerful moves and other means to resist, the sword power was too earth-shaking. Kai! 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 The sword edge glided past the demonic beasts which were going to attack Jian Wushuang and the others, causing the demonic beasts to suddenly halt. They stopped in mid-air, unexpectedly. Space and time froze. All of a sudden, dozens of demonic beasts fell down without any sign of a struggle. The whole battlefield fell into a brief silence. Everyone on the battlefield, including the demonic beasts, who looked at this scene were stunned. Jian Wushuang killed dozens of demonic beasts with a single sword move. Included in this count was a rank 8 monster and 6 rank 7 monsters. His battle strength. What? How's this possible? The human sergeants in the surrounding area were flabbergasted by the sight of this. The demonic beasts which had been attacking frantically were also astonished. So powerful. Mo Wu also looked at Jian Wushuang and said, though he's not a divine emperor, he's definitely a heaven-defying second-grade divine general. In terms of battle strength, he isn't weaker than an ordinary human divine emperor. Damn it! How did such a strong expert appear among these humans? Jian Wushuang was currently the center of attention as he fought with a face full of killing intent and an extremely cold look in his eyes. Kill! He said coldly. As his killing intent soared, the supreme sword essence of the golden sword Soul Phantom also skyrocketed. At this moment, he stepped forward and the long sword swept through the surrounding area once again. The 6 demonic beasts in front of him were his targets. The 6 rank 7 monsters tried to resist. Nevertheless, when the sword arrived, their auras were instantly extinguished while their eyes were still wide open. He instantly killed 6 rank 7 monsters with a single sword strike again. The demonic beasts which had been violently attacking moments ago could not help trembling because of his terrifying strength and overwhelming killing intent. They quickly halted while being completely astonished by Jian Wushuang. Mo Wu, the leader of the demonic beasts, glanced at Jian Wushuang in horror. He then snorted and said, "He's the only strong one. Leave him alone. Go kill the other humans." Howl! The demonic beasts roared in response, then immediately turned to attack the other sergeants. How can this be? Jin Ling had been watching from the rear as the situation unfolded. He thought that Jian Wushuang would definitely die, so he had never expected to see Jian Wushuang suddenly burst forth with an overwhelming power and force the demonic beasts to retreat. Bastard, how can you still be alive? Jin Ling's eyes glazed over with resentment. At this moment, howl! A demonic beast appeared in the front of Jin Ling. It was a rank 8 monster which had entered the formation much earlier, and it was preventing Jin Ling from escaping. What's worse, several demonic beasts also ran toward him after avoiding Jian Wushuang. Soon, several demonic beasts appeared behind Jin Ling and began to directly attack him. Oh no! Jin Ling's expression darkened. The converging attack of the strong demonic beasts forced him into a critical situation once again. Chapter 538. Jian Wushuang, you did not save my life. On the battlefield, the fierce battle continued. Jian Wushuang held his heart-killing sword tightly and activated the Blood River realm while the 60-meter-tall golden sword Soul Phantom emanated a mighty aura. He slaughtered the demonic beasts with his sword alone. Wherever he went, the demonic beasts tried to dodge him, daring not to fight against him. Brother Wushuang, good job. Leader, I love you. Qing Hue and the leader of the 3rd squad, as well as the other sergeants, were ecstatic and excited. They had prepared to fight to the death after being abandoned by Jin Ling. Nobody had expected Jian Wushuang to suddenly burst out at this critical moment and alleviate their burden on his own. They were still being attacked by the demonic beasts, but it was not as intense as before. Therefore, it became easier for them to counterattack. Be careful, Jian Wushuang reminded them. He turned to look at the breach that was closest to them. Too many demonic beasts had made it into the formation. Most importantly, an endless swarm of demonic beasts was still surging into the formation through the breach. If the breach was not blocked, the number of demonic beasts would only continue to increase. .bg container 63275 CC1F display, flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647. Important, we have to block the breach. Jian Wushuang focused his eyes on the breach. Take care of yourselves. I'm going to block the breach, Jian Wushuang said to Qing Hua before rushing to the breach. He had just taken a few steps when he suddenly heard urgent and crazy shouts from nearby. Get out of my way. Damn it. Go die. Hearing that, Jian Wushuang turned to look. He narrowed his eyes at the scene that was taking place in front of him. Jin Ling, who had fled earlier, became the target of some demonic beasts. He was currently encircled by 4 demonic beasts, 2 that were rank 8 monsters with the other 2 being rank 7 monsters. He was in a terrible situation. Jin Ling also saw Jian Wushuang at this time. His eyes immediately lit up. Jian Wushuang, help me quickly. He shouted with anxiety. Though he was also a second-grade divine general, he had not experienced many dangerous situations because he was the son of Emperor Golden Snake. He had been extremely scared when he was encircled by the demonic beasts before. Even now, he was only surrounded by 4 demonic beasts, but he still had no confidence in defeating them and could not display his full strength. In fact, as long as he was careful, it would not be easy for the demonic beasts to kill him. Come save me. Jin Ling roared when he saw that Jian Wushuang had no intention to help him. Save you. Jian Wushuang cast a cold glance at Jin Ling and turned to head for the breach. Bastard. You're leaving me to die. Jin Ling's angry shouts were heard all over the battlefield. The other sergeants heard Jin Ling's angry roars, but they just cast a cold glance towards him. Even the sergeants under the command of Jin Ling remained indifferent. They clearly saw what happened earlier. Jian Wushuang had selflessly saved Jin Ling's life, but what did he get in return? Did he really expect Jian Wushuang to save him again? Did he think Jian Wushuang was a fool? The farmer got bitten by the snake after saving it. I won't allow it to happen again, Jian Wushuang murmured. Jin Ling was no different from a poisonous snake. Jian Wushuang had no intent to save Jin Ling. The other sergeants that were nearby also gave him the cold shoulder. As the commander and someone who knew Jin Ling's identity, Fang Han hesitated for a moment. However, he was facing 2 rank 8 monsters at the moment and he had not completely recovered from his wounds. Even if he wanted to save him, he could not. Bastard, bastard. No, no. Jin Ling's shrill voice continuously echoed throughout the battlefield. He was struggling desperately while surrounded by 4 demonic beasts, but when 2 more rank 7 monsters joined to attack him, he was completely overcome with despair. That despair gradually turned into madness and resentment. Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang. It's all because of you. You left me to die. Just wait. If I die, you won't be able to live either. He roared hysterically as a demonic beast opened its mouth and directly bit off his left arm. Jin Ling knew he was doomed, so he took out a messaging slip with his right hand and broke it. His voice, filled with endless resentment, was passed on through the slip. Father, I'm going to die. It's Jian Wushuang's fault. He left me to die. Get revenge for me. Kill him for me. The battlefield reverberated with his crazy voice that was full of endless resentment. The sergeants were astonished. They saw a rank 8 monster suddenly slash its sharp claw on Jin Ling's head, making it burst like a watermelon. Jin Ling died in an instant. Though he was dead, his words had been passed through the messaging slip. Jian Wushuang, who was rushing toward the breach, heard his words clearly. He narrowed his eyes slightly, but he did not pay much attention to it. Boom! Jian Wushuang arrived at the breach like a pitilessly sharp sword. With a wave of his sword, he instantly killed 2 demonic beasts that had just passed through the breach. For the remaining time, he stood at the breach. The demonic beasts outside were eager to rush into the battlefield, but only 2 demonic beasts could pass through the breach simultaneously, and he could kill 2 demonic beasts without effort. Therefore, Jian Wushuang completely blocked the breach by himself. None of the demonic beasts were able to break through his defense and enter the battlefield. Whoosh! 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 Not far away, several flowing lights swiftly arrived. They were human sergeants coming to support them. Reinforcements are coming. The sergeants of the 7th Army and 6th Army were overjoyed. They immediately joined forces with the reinforcements and killed the demonic beasts that still remained on the battlefield. The situation immediately became stable. In zone number 14, the human camp had gained the absolute advantage. Chapter 539. The Tragic Result. Every inch of the Sky-Fire Plains had become a battlefield. Countless demonic beasts were fighting frantically with sergeants of the East Camp, resulting in a battle that was both miserable and tragic. After over half a day, the short man, who was surrounded by many demonic beasts outside the front battlefield, finally ordered them to retreat. The demonic beasts immediately responded. They stopped attacking and turned around, retreating towards the demonic beast territory. This tragic war, which was considered a rare event, even in the entirety of the humans' recorded history, finally came to an end. The sergeants of the East Camp and the top experts all gathered at the front battlefield. They finally retreated. East Camp has suffered a serious loss. But we killed more demonic beasts. The generals were discussing everything that had happened. A fierce war had also broken out on the front battlefield, and these generals, as well as the 2 temple masters, had participated in the fight and killed a large number of demonic beasts. However, traces of exhaustion could be seen on their foreheads. Among the generals, there was a skinny middle-aged man whose eyes were as sharp as a snake. He wore a golden robe and had a rather forbidding and gloomy demeanor. .bg container 63275 CC1F display. Flex direction. Column align items. Center justify content. Center Z index. 214-748-3647. Important: he was Emperor Golden Snake, one of the 108 divine emperors of the Monster Exterminating League. These demonic beasts were indeed crazy. Emperor Golden Snake looked around. Countless demonic beasts had died on the battlefield and their blood had soaked into the ground. Oh, Lingus message. Emperor Golden Snake suddenly recalled something and took out a messaging slip. He had received Jin Ling's message earlier. However, he had been fighting, so he did not check the message until now. He immediately heard a voice full of hysteria and endless resentment. "Father, I'm going to die. It's Jian Wushuang's fault. He left me to die. Get revenge for me. Kill him for me." The voice echoed in Emperor Golden Snake's ears for a long time after the messaging slip burst. Emperor Golden Snake stood there for a while, his eyes empty and his head locked in a daze. "Dead. Linger is dead," he murmured, but his face gradually became distorted and horrifying. "Jian Wushuang." He gnashed his teeth in anger while saying those words. An overwhelming killing intent rose from him as he rushed toward zone number 14, where Jian Wushuang was. Some generals around noticed this scene. What happened to Golden Snake? What a strong killing intent. But nothing happened to him just now. Did someone important to him die? The generals were confused. Let me go check it out. This war has only just ended and East Camp suffered a heavy loss. I hope there are no more accidents, a black-clothed elder said. He then followed Emperor Golden Snake and left. He was the general who had shown up when Jian Wushuang fought Fang Han in the 7th Army campsite. At that time, Jian Wushuang, Fang Han, and the other sergeants had realized that he favored Jian Wushuang to some extent. Zone number 14. The demonic beasts outside the formation were retreating. Most of the ones in the formation had been killed by the sergeants. Are they finally retreating? Seeing the demonic beasts leaving, Jian Wushuang sighed in relief. Under his feet, the demonic beasts' bodies had piled up, forming a mountain. These demonic beasts had tried to enter the battlefield through the breach, but they were killed by Jian Wushuang as soon as they stepped through the breach. He had killed hundreds of demonic beasts at the breach during this period of time. The sergeants began to clean up the battlefield. This battlefield was like a huge treasure. After all, during the fierce battle, the sergeants did not always have time to grab the monster cores before the demonic beasts' bodies fell to the ground. Also, some of the sergeants died, and their interspatial rings also fell to the ground with them. The ground of this battlefield was priceless in a sense. Brother Wushuang, Qinghua walked over to Jian Wushuang. His face was a little pale, so it was obvious that he had also been heavily wounded during the battle. "How was your harvest?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Not bad. After we clean up the battlefield, the commander will distribute the monster cores according to everyone's position and contribution. We'll get more monster cores at that time, so it's quite a big harvest," Qinghua said. Qinghua should have felt happy for the harvest. However, he, as well as the other sergeants, could not feel happy. "Too miserable," Qinghua shook his head and replied. "Xuehu, Shishan, Gongsun Yang. They all died." Qinghua mentioned several names. They were sergeants in Jian Wushuang's squad, including some team leaders. They had been killed by demonic beasts during the battle. In the 10th squad, only about 40 of the 100 sergeants survived, but even they were seriously wounded. That was not the worst part though. Some of the squads in the 7th Army had been completely wiped out. Only about 10% of the sergeants in the 6th Army had survived. It was utterly miserable. This is the war between humans and demonic beasts. No wonder that humans on Monster Continent hate the demonic beasts so much, Jian Wushuang thought. The war was started by the demonic beasts. The humans could only hide in the formation and resist them. Every time, a large number of sergeants would die in battle. However, they had no ability to counterattack. After all, they were too weak when compared to the demonic beasts. While Jian Wushuang was in deep thought, suddenly, boom! In the distance, a man with a mighty killing intent appeared, and he was rushing here at an alarming rate. The overwhelming killing intent swept through the area before he even arrived. This is... All of the sergeants in zone number 14 raised their heads to look at that man. Fang Han's eyes narrowed because he had recognized that man. Emperor Golden Snake. Chapter 540, Emperor Golden Snake. Emperor Golden Snake. Fang Han's words caused a stir on the battlefield. Everyone could not help looking at Jian Wushuang. Brother Wushuang, Qinghua looked at Jian Wushuang with concern. They had clearly heard Jinling's message before he died, so they knew why Emperor Golden Snake was here. Is he coming? Contrary to these sergeants, Jian Wushuang remained calm. Whoosh! Emperor Golden Snake was as fast as lightning. He appeared in the air above the battlefield in a moment, overlooking them with his scarlet-colored eyes. Numerous bodies lay on the ground. Most were demonic beasts, but there were also many human bodies. Emperor Golden Snake quickly discovered Jinling's body, which was under a dead demonic beast. He vanished and reappeared beside Jinling. With a wave of his hand, he crushed the demonic beast's body into pieces. Then he bent down to lift Jinling's body slowly. .bg container 63275 CC1F display, flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647, important linger. Emperor Golden Snake's voice was cold, but his body was trembling slightly. The sergeants frowned as they looked on. In their opinion, Jinling deserved his death. However, they could understand Emperor Golden Snake's pain as a father. Emperor Golden Snake, Fang Han walked towards Emperor Golden Snake, trying to say something. "Get out of my way!" Emperor Golden Snake yelled. His mighty killing intent swept over the area in an instant. Fang Han, who had already been seriously injured, lost his balance and stepped backward as a mouthful of blood gushed from him. Boom! The killing intent spread around Emperor Golden Snake like a tide. With a wave of his hand, Emperor Golden Snake stored Jinling's body in his interspatial ring. He slowly stood up. His mighty and formidable killing intent soared again and was surged out like a landslide or a tsunami. The entire area became still and the air started to freeze. His eyes were full of overwhelming killing intent as he looked at the sergeants around him. "Who is Jian Wushuang?" Emperor Golden Snake asked, word by word, in a freezing cold tone. Being oppressed by his mighty killing intent, the sergeants could not help trembling. They looked at Jian Wushuang unconsciously. Emperor Golden Snake turned to look at Jian Wushuang. "Is it you?" Emperor Golden Snake stared at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang knew that he could not hide, and he did not want to either. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I'm Jian Wushuang. May I ask what you want, Emperor Golden Snake?" Jian Wushuang, with the triple kill sword sheathed on his back, stood straight like a vigorous pine and looked straight at Emperor Golden Snake without any fear. The sergeants were full of respect towards him as they watched this scene. In the face of a divine emperor who might kill him at any time, Jian Wushuang still remained calm. His boldness impressed the sergeants, as well as Fang Han. Linga died. Emperor Golden Snake stared at Jian Wushuang. "Yes," Jian Wushuang slightly nodded. He did not dodge Emperor Golden Snake's stare. "He died. So why are you still alive?" Emperor Golden Snake said coldly as a freezing killing intent flashed in his eyes. "Go to accompany Linga." As soon as he finished his words, he started to attack. He turned his palm upside down, releasing a vast power. A huge palm, which was big enough to cover the sky, instantly solidified in the air. Its power was so vast that all the sergeants in the area were stunned. The palm quickly slapped toward Jian Wushuang at lightning speed. "So arrogant." Jian Wushuang stood there coldly. The triple kill sword behind him had already been drawn out and was stabbing towards the giant palm. Kai! The sharp sword shadow pierced the palm and began to twist violently. The palm was directly penetrated and dissipated in the air. Considering Jian Wushuang's strength, it was impossible for Emperor Golden Snake to kill him with a casual move. Nevertheless, when the palm was crushed, Emperor Golden Snake also disappeared. "Who did you say was arrogant?" A voice without any emotion suddenly sounded from behind Jian Wushuang. Emperor Golden Snake stood behind him, less than 3 meters away. So fast, Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed. He sensed that a freezing light was chopping toward his head. It was a black scimitar. It was extremely fast and it was already so close to him, so it was too late for Jian Wushuang to turn around and resist it. Buzz! A mighty killing intent surged out from Jian Wushuang and a vast blood river immediately spread out over the area. The blood river, which superimposed with a 1,000-fold realm to form a realm, oppressed Emperor Golden Snake, making him halt for a moment. The black scimitar also became slightly slower. Jian Wushuang seized the opportunity and dodged. Swoosh! The freezing black light whizzed past Jian Wushuang's ear, making a shrill boom as it glided through the air. So close! The sergeants could not help exclaiming as they saw this breathtaking scene. Not bad, Emperor Golden Snake was also surprised. Hum! Jian Wushuang snorted. Behind him, the 60-meter-high golden sword Soul Phantom appeared once again. Along with it came the matchless supreme sword essence. Jian Wushuang's turbulent power burst forth and the 8 origin marks on his arms also exploded, releasing power to their absolute limit. Then, he swung his long sword. The golden sword Soul Phantom behind him swung its long sword simultaneously. In an instant, the sky darkened. A bright and dazzling sword shadow emerged. This sword shadow silently glided through the space between them. However, it carried a terrible force with it that seemed as if it could exterminate everything. It was the 4th move of heart-killing sword technique, Sheer Shadow. Through Jian Wushuang's all-out exertion, the power of the sword had reached an earth-shaking level. The bright but silent sword shadow immediately chopped toward Emperor Golden Snake.